Hi guys, it's Walking02 Dead here with members of the Green Clan. We've got Zoro Fanboy 124.
How's it going, guys?
We've got Phoenix Kai.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, it's only us.
Video some bullshit.
Some fucking bullshit. We're doing it. It's all good. And as you can see from the title, we are doing is CowBoy Bebop Overrated. And this is basically going to be sort of like a response video to reviewer 3, who did this like video, pretty much you could argue kind of bashing Cowboy Bebop a little bit and saying it's a bit overrated. So we're going to like counter all the points that he made in this video. Now, we're not fanboys and we're not saying that Cowboy Bebop is the greatest anime of all time. We're just saying that he was a little unfair towards, this classic series. So
yep,
let's go with it.
See, some people might not be able to take me seriously because of the fact that I like the series so much, but listen, guys, I understand it's not the greatest, but listen, there were some things that need to be addressed, so here we go. Just want to point that out. Alright. So
reckless shit was said.
Shit was said, and shit needs to be said in response.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
There we go.
So, one of the first points that he makes in this video is that he says that it gets credit that it doesn't deserve, and that everything about all the elements of the series are kind of like overhyped by all the fanboys of the series, which I'm going to say is it's kind of bullshit, because if you think about it, Bebop for its time, it blended genres together like perfectly. You've got drama, you've got sci-fi, you've got western, you've got action, you've got a tiny little bit of romance in there. The blend of music, jazz and rock.
Very, very influential and very of its time. It was really.
It set the benchmark for anime in its time.
Exactly, especially overseas. You know what I'm saying? Especially overseas, it really introduced that. I'm not only with the whole influence argument. I mean, just in general, it did things that animes really didn't do that well at that point. I mean, it was very unique. You got to give it that at least. So yeah, I think he was a little unfair. I mean, there is some nostalgia, obviously, because some people, it's one of their first animes of all time. But I don't think that's the main reason why people give it so much credit and regard it as one of the best ever made. I really don't think that's the case.
No, definitely not. I mean, a lot of people, they confuse nostalgia with something that's just plain good.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
not if you enjoy something that's old, it doesn't mean that it's nostalgia necessarily all the time. If something's really well crafted, then it's just a good series that stands the test of time.
Exactly, and you can watch it today and you can still enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can watch it. You can pick it up today and you still enjoy it. There are some series that over time it does kind of get worse and worse, but Bebop is definitely not one of those series. It's still enjoyable. It's just as good.
Said it just gets worse and worse. Oh yeah. Also, I like to state that Cowboy Bebop got a lot of his influence from Lethal Weapon, Alien, and other American films.
Lupin the Third as well, big influence.
Yeah. And also, what I was gonna say about Cowboy Bebop, that I think people may say that I'm wrong, but the dub surpasses the sub.
They're both really good, but the dub is, I think, better.
I mean, the Cowboy Bebop dub, I'll say this, right? Without any question, back in the mid '90s, it set the benchmark for American dub.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And if even now, I mean, if something hasn't got a dub that's equal or better to Cowboy Bebop, then it's considered shit.
That's true.
Let's just go on fanboy mode, or maybe whoever did the dubbing didn't take the actors in the right direction. So.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. So what are some other things he said that we can address with this video?
Well, the next thing he brings up is the soundtrack, saying that people say that it's the best anime soundtrack of all time, and there are series that are better than it. He says things like Gurren Lagann and Code Geass, but these things came out after it. So obviously, another thing, Cowboy Bebop set the benchmark on music, in my opinion, in anime as well.
Yeah.
And everything's had to follow. So.
And even like I said, even with the whole influence argument, it's still an amazing soundtrack today. It really is. No one uses jazz in anime, especially not at that time. Jazz in anime is just it's an unheard of thing. And even for someone who doesn't even like jazz, who I am, I really don't like jazz at all. It just mended. Went so well with the animation. It was just perfect. It was a perfect mesh. And
so well.
This argument, I mean, it's hard to say because I feel like when it comes to music a lot of the times is what I'm looking for. It's kind of like there's no way to really say which. It's hard to pick which music is better than the other music. You know what I'm saying? It's up to the individual
preference in a way.
Exactly, it comes to personal preference a lot. and it's more subjective than objective in a lot of cases. So I can't really argue too much with his statement as but I think it's an amazing soundtrack personally. But that's not something that I'm really too mad about. There were other things that I have more problems with than just what he said about the soundtrack. The soundtrack, I'm just like whatever, It's more of a subjective statement, but it's whatever,
Damn.
But I've never heard anybody say that the soundtrack of Bebop was never that good. I mean, even people who hate Bebop a lot or really dislike it say, okay, the music is good, but, what I'm saying? Everyone acknowledges the music of Bebop, so I just think that it's ridiculous how you can say that's not a good soundtrack. I really do.
And you know what? With the music of Cowboy Bebop, each time when the music plays from a different scene, its own beat with the scene, though. Like, it really flows together, and I like how Bebop does that. And you know what? It's like, in my opinion, I don't really see shows do that a lot with their music, and especially with their scenes going together.
Right.
That's
well,
a lot.
They replay the same song, or the same thing. Exactly. Like certain series, they kind of rehash the same songs over and over again during the
Naruto and Bleach, and he brings up Bleach as being one of the series.
Bleach was the same music over and over again during the. It's like, oh man. But,
that fucking Soul Society arc, man. Hearing those same fucking three sounds over and over.
It's true.
They play that song. What's that song called? Number One.
Yeah.
I used to like that song. Now I just don't.
It does have a good soundtrack. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. I just feel like openings, endings. Everything. It had everything. It was more consistent and it had more variety, which I feel Bebop.
And it was really original for its series, though.
Exactly.
You can't deny that it's one of the best soundtracks in any anime.
Yeah.
If not the best.
And also, I like to say that a lot of anime today, from animes that I saw, I don't think like a lot of animes they use orchestral music or no lyrics at all. Just use orchestral music in the opening or ending and just go all out with it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm trying to think of anime that has like orchestral music, like no lyrics at all, just have the beat go with the opening or ending.
Can't think of any off the top of my head, but there probably is some.
Yeah, some that I haven't seen. So.
Yeah. The next point he makes is that it's a series not for like adults, because a lot of people see, even though it's not like a seinen series, a lot of people see it as like a more of adult series. It's not like a shonen in a sense, which I agree with. I don't think it's like a Naruto or, on that sort of level where it's a bit kiddie. I mean, it's got like comedy in it, but you've still got like action in it, and there's still like depth to the characters and to the story, like the backstory of the characters.
Right. I mean, I don't know what argument he was trying to make when he said to talk about the whole like adult thing with it. He was bringing up the point of the fact that it's episodic, therefore it's not really adult because only comedies really work with episodic. I don't know what kind of point he was trying to make with that.
He was trying to say that it's because it's got no like proper plot. It's pointless because it's episodic because there's no meaning to it. I don't understand what he's on about there, but I mean, saying that it's like episodic, and the way I saw it is, in a way, it's kind of like world building because you're seeing the everyday life of them being bounty hunters, going on, fucking bounty hunting missions to capture people for money, and
Right.
So, and then people got like their own sort of like little stories, like Jet and Faye and Spike. They open.
I just think that the series functioned differently in the sense that we were kind of learning a little. We knew the characters already, right? And they were already established. But we were learning little by little about their past and exactly what made them the people that they were today. And through learning who they were, therefore that's some kind of development. I mean, they're not developing forward because we're going into the past, but we're still at the same time learning more and more about them. So just because it doesn't have like a linear plot background, character development like normal series have, doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. A lot of people seem to misunderstand that and say, oh, just because Spike is much different than the beginning than he was to the end, they assume that is bad. I don't think that you need necessarily generic general character development in order for the characters of the series to be good. Yeah. It was all set up so we can learn about the past of Spike, Jet, and Faye, and learn what made them the people that they were today, and that's the whole point of the series. And of course, there's a plot. Are you serious? Like, how could you say there's no fucking plot? Of course there's a plot.
Episode 5 is where the plot starts.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, how many other series can pull off, like he brings up, you could watch like episode 3, you could skip all the way up to like episode 19, you could come back to like episode 6, go to like episode 21. Right. I mean, there's no series that could do that and pull it off. I mean, Bebop does. I don't know how it does it.
And you can enjoy it. I mean, exactly. Yeah, you enjoy it. Like, that's a good thing. I mean, some people, especially when you're like the way it was set up at Toonami, I mean, sometimes I'll miss an episode or two, so to be able to catch an episode and not have to know what happened beforehand necessarily, it could be a positive thing as well. Just because the series, is episodic. I mean, some people don't like episodic. It's up to preference, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because it's episodic, therefore it's a bad series or not worthy of being called a good series.
Or everything that happens in it's meaningless.
Okay, exactly. Here's where I have to stop you right here. Okay. When this person say a series that is episodic is not good, there has been plenty of series that is episodic and are good though.
Yeah. So he said it only works for comedies.
Works for comedies. What about like I don't know, cartoon shows like fucking Dexter's Laboratory won an award though, and that was episodic.
True, but I think that's when he goes back to the thing saying that it's not for adults also because it's episodic.
Okay. Right. Well, just because the series is episodic doesn't mean it's not for adults. What if in every episode there's violence and fucking sexual content?
I mean, you could bring up another series made by the same guy, Samurai Champloo. That's episodic, but in some places, and that's that's not a kiddies.
I was gonna say another series that's episodic, but it's not.
I mean, there aren't that many that are episodic that pull it off in a way that makes it entertaining for each individual episode. Because each episode has its own story in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be consistent and make it entertaining. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some episodes of Bebop which kind of miss. There are, but for the most part, all these little stories mixing different genres and different kind of like things. Like one story could be about like a sci-fi influence. One story could be action influence, comedy influence. It has a variety of ranges, and that's what made Bebop great, was the mixture of all these different cultures, all these different genres, all these different kind of things packed into one series. And it's not for everybody, but it's damn well entertaining. I'm sorry to say, it really is. So
there aren't many series that pull off blending so many genres together and not make it a clusterfuck.
Exactly. So I don't know about the whole childish thing. That's just a weird thing to say, because if you watch Bebop, you know it's not childish. You can watch one episode and see the guy inject fucking like drugs into his eye and start beating the shit out of people, and notice it's not a fucking kid's show. I mean,
or a fucking assassin, a mad assassin killing people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
In a top hat.
In a crime syndicate,
Getting stomped on by fucking... It's crazy. Like, the series, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say. But, I mean, I shouldn't have to explain it.
No. I'll move on to the next point.
Yeah.
I'll like blend two of them into one. He basically says, there's not a great deal of character development or any sort of like depth to the characters. And then he also goes on about, the cool factor and how other series are more cooler than it.
I mean, another thing, cool is subjective. It's kind of a subjective thing. So he said, Outlaw Star's cooler, Trigun's cooler, which is bullshit. Yeah. But I'm sorry.
I'll say this about it. Like, Bebop definitely has that cool factor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those things that you can't explain, because it's like saying to someone the magic of Dragon Ball, the magic of One Piece. It's not necessarily something you can...
It's not a tangible factor.
It's one of those things that's really hard to explain, but it's there.
Right. It's the atmosphere. I call it the atmosphere of the series. Yeah. It just has a certain atmosphere that just has that coolness to it. That's the only word that I can use due to my lack of vocabulary. You get all these kind of shots of these desolate places, and the main character kind of walking down the street all cool like. It's very artistic and kind of like it just gives you a sense of atmosphere. And I don't know. It's kind of entertaining to see all this kind of stuff. Some people may not enjoy that or may not think that it's particularly cool, but it just has this certain kind of appearance to it that makes it unique and interesting. Just the world itself, you know what I'm saying? And the characters themselves, the way they carry themselves, just kind of in a cool sense. Though I mean, like I said, if he doesn't think it's cool, I mean, it's kind of subjective, so I can't really argue with it. But he's basically saying that it's not cool based on his own personal opinion, which is kind of a biased thing to say. Just saying.
And you can't deny Bebop's atmosphere, because it literally is one of its strongest points.
Exactly, it really is. Add that with the music, and it just sets the scenes up perfectly.
I mean, all the elements, all the different elements, all these different genres, the characters, the music.
Right.
the world, it all adds to this atmosphere that Bebop's got.
Exactly.
And forget this animation.
Yeah, and the animation,
I mean, the animation
takes time. Like, he put on, even in the video, the fluid animation. Very good animation. The fights were just fluid.
Crisp,
really nice.
fluid. I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yes, very nice.
Like I want to say one of the best animations in Cowboy Bebop. I forget the episode, but when Spike is in that abandoned carnival.
Oh, it's Pure
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is, the animation is, wow, man. Watch that shit on Blu-ray, man.
It's amazing.
Oh, I've got it on Blu-ray.
You bastard! I want it. I want it.
I'm going to say one thing for the animation that no one ever brings up are the dogfights in the spaceships.
Yeah.
They're so good as well. I mean, they're really underappreciated, I think, the dogfights in the series.
They are. I mean, I don't know. People just don't. I don't really know. I mean, there's so many elements that people just seem to forget it. Maybe they haven't seen it in a long time, and they just remember, just think back and of what they remember, and they just kind of judge it based on that. But I don't really know. There's a lot of good stuff to enjoy with the series, personally.
There is. Well, the last point he makes up is that Vicious is a poor villain because he only turns up around, I don't know, was it like 3, 4, 5 episodes in the whole series?
Right. I'm not gonna lie, like, Vicious could have been around more. You definitely would want to see. I think that was actually a decent point by him. That,
I agree with that.
But I didn't like this kind of comparison to Android World. Android
19.
19. That was kind of funny. But at the same time, like, just because he had what's the word I'm looking for? Even though he only showed up a certain amount, he had such presence. Exactly.
Yeah, presence.
And he showed up in Spike's flashbacks and whatnot, so you knew about him, enough about him that he was a good villain. But we definitely could have seen a little bit more from Vicious. I'm not gonna deny that. That's definitely a good point.
But I think that the fact that we don't see him a lot adds to the mystery of his character.
Yeah.
Because you get the whole backstory of like Julia, Spike, Vicious. I think it adds to the whole mystique of him.
Right.
So
yeah. That's
I
a good
think
point.
if you show too much of him, I think that would have ruined that sort of mystery to his character.
That's a very good point.
You know what? I can compare Vicious to another character besides Android 19. You can say the same thing for Legato Blue Summers and Trigun, which he didn't really appear a lot, but the atmosphere and the way he presented Vash was very similar.
The way he affects the series.
Yeah, the way he affected the series is very similar to Spike and Vicious relationship and Vash and Legato's relationship.
Right.
That's a comparison I made.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, Legato. But yeah, I just feel like just because you weren't there for a certain amount of time, I think it's just the time that he was there. He had, like I said, just such an amount of presence that it really added to it. So I don't feel like you didn't feel it as much. But at the same time, like I said, he does make a good point. He could have seen more Vicious, but like it's kind of hard to say. But that was one of the points that I kind of also I understood why he would have a problem with him as a villain. I do give him that point.
Yeah, I'll give him that point.
Anything else?
No, that was pretty much all the points he made in the video.
Yeah,
Slam
I mean,
for a goal.
So I mean, it's, you may think that we're fanboying here, but I think that it's pretty apparent that although not everyone likes the series, it does have such. I mean, it has a following for a reason. I think it deserves it. It's a quality series. I mean, it may be overrated in some people's eyes, but for the time that it was made, it did a lot of amazing things and really blended so many genres in a really unique and interesting way. And it's timeless for a reason. I think that it's something that you can pick up whenever and still enjoy it. But I'll put the link to his video in the comments or in the chat, in the description rather, and you guys check it out and decide for yourselves. And also let us know your opinions. What do you think about Bebop? Do you think it's an overrated series? Do you think that the points that he made in his video were legitimate? Do you think that what we were saying makes a little bit more sense about Bebop? Do you think it's overrated? Do you think it's good, bad? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe to everyone here in the Green Clan. Everyone sign out.
Kai.
I'm Miss Kai, and that's it.
I'm the Walking 00 Dead, and subscribe to the Green Clan.
Alright, this has been Zero Fanboy 124 with the Green Clan. It's a great discussion about one of my favorite series. I try not to fanboy too hard. Like the video, guys, and subscribe to the Green Clan. We're out. Peace.
See ya.
Deuces.